And keeping on this subject of food, we want to talk now about the way Americans shop for food, the way that it's changing. According to the National Association of Convenience Stores, food items accounted for 16.9% of a record $195 billion of convenience store sales in 2011. So that means Americans are more and more turning to convenience stores to shop for food. Seems like it's becoming another fast food option. Now, to talk about what this means for Americans' diets, Jeff Leonard, Vice President of Industry Advocacy at the National Association of Convenience Stores, joins us now. Jeff, welcome. So you suggested that the direction that convenience stores are headed. Tell us more about this trend.
Well, the trend of having stores with more food really harkens back to a certain extent to the old days when drugstores used to have soda jerks, fountain jerks. They sold sandwiches, they had deli counters. Convenience stores, a lot of the same things. They used to be, 7-Eleven used to be, the official name was 7-Eleven Food Stores. What we've seen over the last few years is, in terms of our industry, the peak demand for gas was 2008. So we're gradually seeing less gas being sold in the country. And that is, of course, a huge revenue driver for stores. Not necessarily profit, but revenue. Cigarette sales also on the decline. So you're seeing retailers look towards food more. However food is defined, whether you're talking about nuts, berries, fruit, produce, sandwiches. You're talking about more food with the opportunity for the future. At the same time, customers want more time back. So you're seeing 22% of furniture stores now sell food. So the idea is people are all of a sudden all becoming New Yorkers. They want it now, they want to eat it on the go, and those are the two trends we're seeing right now.
I know that you've made the argument that convenience stores, as we perceive them today, will go from gas stations that sell food to food stores that happen to sell gas. Is that what you think is essentially what's happening?
I think that's one of those things that's going to take 10 years, and then somebody's going to look up and say, when did that happen? You see examples of that across the country, but by citing the examples, I guess it's also showing that there's still a ways to go. I was in a convenience store outside of Dallas-Fort Worth, and they actually had great lobster bisque. Just unbelievable. They had duck l'orange, some great things there. I've been to stores that sold sushi, and they had sushi shrimp. So we're seeing that evolution. People, you have to remember, it wasn't too long ago that people thought of ethnic food as either pizza or Chinese. And as the palate extends, as people are more open to Thai, to Vietnamese, to you name it type of food, you're seeing they're also saying well, more people can give it. And convenience stores are hiring chefs, they're bringing it to the stores, they're doing it in a smaller footprint, but the goal is restaurant quality food, convenience store convenience and speed of service, and on your way.
Okay, when you think convenience stores, you kind of think small, mom and pop, or your 7-Elevens or your gas stations, but what about the gigantic Walmarts, that kind of one-stop shopping? How does that play into everything?
Well, when you're any retailer competing against Walmart, it makes you have to look at how you do business. So in terms of convenience stores, Walmart offers a lot of great things in a one-stop shop. If you're a convenience store located near a Walmart, there might actually be opportunity for you there because you may be able to get somebody that doesn't want to have to navigate the parking lot and do all those other things to get that Walmart experience. So a lot of retailers don't like to be near Walmart with good reason. Some can take advantage of that by emphasizing that they're a place to go to get stuff fast. Walmart's looking at a lot of the same models every other retailer is. How do you get somebody what they want, give them a good price, make them feel good about it, and get them on their way? Walmart, I think the average experience is closer to an hour. Our stores, the average experience is closer to 4 minutes.
All right, so we are seeing this trend, and clearly more people are turning to convenience stores to get their food. Jeff, what does that mean in terms of Americans' health? We're already seeing this obesity epidemic. How is this playing into that?
Well, there's two parts of the equation. There's the calories in and the calories out in looking at what's happening in terms of obesity. I'll address the calories in. What you're seeing in stores is not necessarily selling more food, but more food options as well. So you go in a convenience store, it's not difficult to find something like yogurt or nuts or dried berries or fresh cut fruit or sushi or sandwiches, you name it. The one advantage about convenience stores over some of the more traditionally thought of as fast food or quick service restaurants is you probably have a little bit more options of what you can offer. You aren't necessarily limited to a set menu. So you see an awful lot of stores that are getting into food, convenience stores getting into food, are able to provide a number of options. They can offer the salads, they can offer the yogurts, and they can also offer what might be considered more indulgences, something that you might want to treat yourself to. So we want to look at things with what customers want, give it to them, give them some options for healthy, and of course, get them on their way.
All right. We talk a lot here on RT about, this growing wealth gap that is happening in the U.S. Do you think that that's going to play into it where, the wealthy will be able to shop at the more organic, big organic stores and be able to go for the more healthy options, whereas, those that aren't so wealthy are going to be shopping at, less healthier places and purchasing more packaged kinds of foods? Do you see that? Do you see that impacting the socioeconomic status of people being able that whole trend kind of playing into it even more in the future?
There's a lot of things that you hear about that going into this trend. Is it related to wealth? Is it related to what your parents did, or what kind of imprint you had? If your parents told you that an apple or a fruit was a great snack, that's probably a trait you're going to pass on to your kids. I don't know if we're necessarily the experts in speaking upon the socioeconomics of the situation, but in a typical day in our industry, we service about 160 million transactions, and there are 312 million people in the country. So odds are, if you weren't in a convenience store today, you will be tomorrow, at least buy gas or be inside the store. So we look less at the socioeconomic because everyone goes to convenience stores. You need gas. If you're thirsty, you grab a drink at one of our stores. They're convenient. If you're hungry, you grab something to eat. So it's probably best for somebody else to talk about the wealth gap and things like that. We see everybody in our stores.
All right. I mean, lastly, just want to ask you, you're talking about this trend, but at the same time, it seems like there is this demand. We see this movement for organic foods, that these kinds of foods are growing in popularity. So isn't there more of a demand for natural, clean food that you wouldn't necessarily find at a convenience store?
There are a number of stores that do offer these things, but we've done a lot of studies. We've seen a lot of studies out there from food experts, and one of the key things with healthy is the big thing is you need to look at the difference between what people say and what they do. It's very similar to if you ask them if people work out, etc. A lot of the answers are aspirational. Of course they want to eat healthy. Of course they go to the gym. There have been a lot of people that have tried to roll out nothing but organics and haven't really succeeded. So the idea is to give options and to provide plenty of choices, educate customers that, well, if you want to sell bananas, put them in a couple different places. Don't just put them in one spot. Put them where they might shop. If you want to sell something else, yogurt, look at open-faced coolers instead of the coffin doors, what they're called coffin doors. They're much more likely to get browsing and purchases. So sometimes it's just taking what you have in your stores and better presenting it to the customer.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We are out of time. I will say, though, one thing I will never get at a convenience store is sushi. So that's where I'm drawing the line. Thank you so much for coming on the show. That was Jeff Leonard,
get the lottery ticket, though.
Vice President of Industry Advocacy at the National Association of Convenience Stores.